Grab your power suit, hire a ferryman, and let's take a deep dive into Hive Secundus. Hello and welcome to the Necromundown. Today we're doing a deep dive review of the Book of Desolation, aka the Hive Secundus actual book. Yeah. So this is not what comes in the Hive Secundus box.
Not the two-player campaign.
Which we did a review of that box, and we did discuss how that book is still pretty cool because it at least comes with a set of the full real rules that you will use.
That's true.
This does not. By the way, this is more like a Vaults of Temenos book.
Yeah.
So this is not an Ash Waste. You can see it's not very thick, right? So what does this come with? A lot. This is one of the more scattershot, but also complete books we've gotten in a while. I think.
This might be my favorite book since I've started playing.
Spoiler: this is a really good one.
Yeah.
I guess let's talk about why. So this contains the rules for Spire hunting parties. That's the one where you have a group of a few very, very high-powered models. We're not going to talk about those in depth today. We're going to do a full house review of them, probably shortly. Sorry, squats and nomads, who we said we were going to do next, but you know, new and shiny.
The book came out. Come on, guys.
This contains also the rules for Secundan incursion gangs, which is where you take one of those guys and put them in a normal gang. We will talk a little bit about those. This also contains the new Malstrain Genestealer gang and Malstrain corrupted gangs, which we will also do in a separate video because they have enough of their own rules and enough difference from Genestealers that we'll still do those too.
Right.
Those don't replace Genestealer cults, by the way.
Right.
Worth noting that now. Nothing in this book replaces anything else.
True.
Which I like. Brief lore. Hive Secundus used to be the second biggest and bestest city on Necromunda after Hive Primus. Primus means one, Secundus means two.
I was going to say Hive Primaris.
So it's bigger and better.
Yeah, bigger and better in every way.
No, because that would imply that it came second.
That's true.
What happened is basically a rogue member of the Adeptus Mechanicus was doing some incredibly illegal experiments on Genestealers that he imported on purpose, and they all got loosed, and the whole hive fell to a Genestealer infestation, and Lord Helmwar, the current Lord Helmwar, well, sorry, the previous Lord Helmwar, the one who just got assassinated, was like, I don't like this. I'm going to nuke it from orbit. So that's what he did.
Yeah.
Because if the Imperium found out there was a Genestealer infestation on Necromunda, which is pretty close to Terra, you're talking exterminatus territory.
Yeah.
Like he would
glass the planet.
Yeah, he would lose everything. So he was like, nah, I'm going to just make sure. And he nuked it from orbit with graviton nukes.
Nice.
Which, in addition to completely obliterating the underhive, or the hive and everybody in it, also created weird temporal and gravitational anomalies. Stalker. If you've never played the video game series Stalker, it's very fun. It kind of deals with the same kind of thing. Basically creating this, like, the Underhells, which is Hive Secundus, what's left of it. There's nothing standing anymore. It's all...
Yeah,
and
it's all collapsed.
They're part of it. So then he built a giant wall around it. It's called the Dust Wall. It's staffed by militia, some guard regiments, I think. Every now and then an Imperial Fist shows up. And also his most loyal Pal Knight Enforcers, who got a shout out in this and who I would expect to maybe see as another gang supplement later.
Which would be awesome. Because they need love.
And there's no one goes in or out.
Yeah.
In theory. In reality, everybody wants what's in this hive. First off, the Genestealers didn't die. They just got super corrupted into the Malstrains, who are so messed up even other Genestealers kill them on sight. And they can't call out to the Tyranid hive. Number two, House Helmwar sends its kids, like its nobles, in there to prove their worth. Like, if you want to get anywhere in House Helmwar, you have to don one of these suits and go get a nice kill count before you come back. And if you can't do it, don't come back. That's what the Spire gangs are.
Yeah.
That's what the Spires are. They're not just Necromunda nobles, they are specifically Helmwar nobles, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
And two, of course, there are gangs that want to break in there to steal all this juicy stuff and bring it back. Because if you do this, you get primo rich. There are also humans and squats who manage to survive and manage to not get Genestealered and make a living in there. They're called stalkers, ferrymen. They make a living by scavenging and ferrying the people who want to go in and out, back and forth.
Nobody's allowed in and out. Asterisk.
Yes, yeah. No one's officially allowed in and out. Officially, this place doesn't exist. Everyone in there is dead. And if they're not dead, they are to be killed.
Yeah.
If the Imperium found out about this place, they would probably... I don't know if they would definitely exterminatus Necromunda. They would probably see what the options were and definitely replace Helmor's house as like, oh, so you messed up.
Which is crazy because, again, like, Necromunda is an imperial.
Yeah, like, well, it's the way the Imperium works is as long as you meet your tithe, they don't care.
Yeah.
You do whatever you want as long as you make the men and material things. That's why the Imperium sucks so much, is that it's, you know, you can run things like Rowboat Gilliman and have a nice set of nice little worlds, or you can run things like Helmar. They don't care. Yeah. So that's why. And basically this book is about either the rich newbies going in there and getting their kill count, or the gangs trying to go in.
Right.
Or the people who are Malstrain corrupted trying to keep everyone out. Because what they want to do is they want to take over the planet, of course.
Yeah.
The narrative
like all the Tyranids.
The narrative connecting to the existing narrative, which is the one where Lord Helmar got assassinated. Then his daughter, 13th daughter, Lady Hera, came to power. And then Aranthius was woken up and started taking over the planet.
Aranthius was in the Dust Wall?
It was in the Vault of Tenemenos, which was beneath a different hive.
Oh, okay.
No, there's connection to this, but it's vague.
Yeah.
It has a different name for Aranthius. He might be Xenos. He might be Chaos. It's not sure. He's definitely exercising some kind of psychic influence over Necromunda. Lady Hera, after she got booted out by him, fled here, found a brother of hers and some squats, and basically found a spire suit that only locks to her, and is going to use that to try and retake Necromunda.
She's the chosen one.
Basically, yes.
Yeah.
So that's why you get a new Lady Hera model, which we saw. Very great model. There are rules in here for her, by the way. You can't play both of them on the same table at the same time.
Makes sense. It's a clone.
Yeah, that was the short lore, and that still took like 2 minutes.
More than that.
So let's start with before we get into the actual new campaign, let's talk about the concept of the Secundan Incursion Gang. When you play an Underhell's campaign, you play it as one of two teams, either Malstrain aligned or a Secundan Incursion aligned. And you don't actually have to pick Malstrain Corrupted or a Secundan Incursion to do that. You just pick, it changes the mechanics. But if you choose a Secundan Incursion gang, what that does is you can take any one of the main houses, so any one of the 6 houses, but it also names squats, Paladin Enforcers, or Venators.
Yeah.
Which is a word I thought they'd forgotten about.
Yeah, it's weird to see that in text again.
You follow all of the normal rules, except your leader is replaced by one Spire Hunter, either an Oris, Vetyeld, Malkadan, or Jakaro? Jakara, yes. Jakaros are the orangutan guys, sorry.
Yes.
You can never hire another Spire, even if your leader dies. And also your Spire leader can never use group activations, because he's not actually part of the gang.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's the only thing difference. Otherwise, you follow your normal gang stuff to the letter. So that is functionally how you will play a normal gang in this campaign. So that's it for that's all the Secundan Incursion gang is. That's all there is to it. Now, let's talk about this new campaign. So I guess this is kind of a campaign review in addition to a book review.
Yeah. I mean, it is most of the book.
It is most of the book, and I think the best campaign they've released.
I agree.
Since I started playing.
Yeah.
Ash Waste is a really cool idea, but the actual Ash Waste campaign, I'm not going to say it's bad. It's just very brutal.
I'm going to say it's bad.
I don't think it's bad. I think it's just really, really hard. On purpose.
Fair.
So, you do not have to play a Secundan Incursion gang or a Malstrain Corrupted gang. It does say that it works particularly well with these.
Yeah.
So that's kind of encouraged to either play, if you're siding with Secundan Incursion, play a Secundus Incursion gang. If you're siding with Malstrain, play a... It's hard to justify siding with Malstrain and not playing Malstrain.
Yeah, I agree. Although you could be like Cawdor and be Malstrain, or Dalak or something and be Malstrain, but without being corrupted.
Yeah, I guess. By the way, the sides in this, kind of like outlaw versus legal, they don't actually stop you from fighting other people on your side.
No.
But it does have the single largest effect on campaign mechanics of any we've seen. So basically, at the start of the campaign, you pick whether you are someone who's trying to get into the Underhive, the Ruined Hive, or you're somebody who's living there and trying to keep people out, basically. That's the Secunded Incursions or Malstrain. It's so hard to talk about this without just saying, here's all the differences.
Yeah.
So I guess let's just talk about here's all the differences. The big one is that there's actually 3 phases in this campaign. Most have been 2, right? Like
I believe literally all have been 2.
I think the food one the Dark Uprising has more
I
than
never played Dark Uprising. So that's
has more
possible.
than 2 phases, or can be if things get progressively worse in that one.
Fair.
This is true for this one too. Things get progressively worse.
Or better if you're a Gene Stealer.
Yeah, it has 3 phases. Getting to the Underhive, delving down into Hive Secundus, and then actually being in the Underhouse. And what this changes is your territory, or your trade post rolls, how bad things are if you break, and also the monsters that are there. So everybody picks one of their favorite, you play your favorite gang, probably a Secundus Incursion gang. We're going to talk about this under that assumption.
Yeah.
The big thing is that territories in this one are also super, super different because you only hold a single territory
For each phase.
Each phase, and it changes. It's basically your base camp. And that's the only one you get. There is a way to get a second one.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
There is a way to get a second one.
Technically, you can have up to 3.
Yes, there's a way to get more, but you no longer challenge people for their territories. Instead, you challenge them for exploration points, which is a little odd.
Also, scenarios give exploration points.
Yes. Like usual, there's no winner. I like to think that the winner of this one is the person who has the most exploration points at the end because they're the person who got there first. But it's like all other campaigns. The winner is, the person at the end. And
the person at the end with the most credits.
Yep. So, the main thrust of this, instead of, okay, wait, if you don't take people's territories, and what the heck are exploration points? So, at the end of each battle, you get a number of exploration points based on how well you did, and the scenario itself, and some random dice rolls. When the number of exploration points has hit 3 times the number of players in the campaign, that's when you move on to the next phase.
Awesome.
And then you get to spend those exploration points. So you can spend them on getting credits per point. You can spend them on choosing your next territory, or you can spend them on getting an additional territory. The territories assigned are completely random, by the way.
Yes.
Arbitrators, you might want to look through them and pick ones that are balanced, because we'll talk about these as we gloss over the territories later. They're not all territories are created equal.
I honestly think they're all pretty...
They're pretty close.
They're pretty close.
This is not like the last book, where it was like, wow, that artifact is hot garbage.
Because, for the first cycle, they all give 2d6 plus something else, and then one of them doesn't get the extra thing, but it's 3d6.
Right.
Fairly
I think there's one
balanced.
d6 one as well. Or is that not the second?
No, that's the second.
Yeah, okay, that was the second cycle, yeah.
Second cycle.
And the territories you get changes each one, because, it
Also
changes.
notable is 2 gangs can have the same territory, because they're just types of territory.
Yes, so you're not fighting over the same one.
Right.
And it's kind of funny because, the question is, why are these characters fighting each other? And it's just because you're squabbling on the way to get there.
Yeah.
Basically, you're all trying to get there, and you're meeting other gangs and fighting with each other. So that's why Secundus Incursion gangs are still fighting each other, because you're bumping into them and, they're on your turf. And the Mouse Train ones are still fighting each other. Also worth noting, you still get exploration points even if you lose.
Yes.
So basically, the downtime or the phases are always going to advance, even if, nobody's doing well, which I really like.
Yeah, it is, again, a fresh take from this is exactly 6 weeks.
Yes.
I don't care how
Yes.
everybody's doing. Exactly 6 weeks.
And only 6 weeks was you play. No. So the challenge system does work the same, though, in which the lowest first phase, it's random. After that, it's lowest to highest on gang rating. Scenario selection table still exists. There is still downtime, although that is a little different.
If you deny a challenge, the challenger gets 2 points for free.
Yes.
Rather than, giving up the territory.
You don't get any points if you deny challenges. That's the only way to not get points,
Yes.
basically, because otherwise you will. The big one is, and probably the biggest mechanical difference, is whether you pick Secundus Incursion or Mouse Train. And what that changes is
a lot.
what kind of game you get to play.
Yeah.
This is the only campaign I could see playing twice in a row.
Oh, yeah.
And everyone just flips sides.
Yeah.
So everyone gets 1,000 credits to start, just like normal. But if you pick a Mouse Train gang, you get an additional 400 credits to spend on vehicles, basically.
Yeah. Mounts, crews, mounted units.
Or things that grant the mounted condition.
Yeah.
The usual. But if you are playing a Secundus Incursion gang, you don't get those 400 credits. Instead, you get to add a ferryman team to basically take you there. And ferrymen are basically people who live in this zone. I don't want to call it the zone because, again, Stalker. But it is kind of that. Like, it really is. There's very big vibes of Stalker in this campaign. So anyway, you hire these Stalkers, ferrymen. They're the ones who can take you there. And every ferryman team comes with a leader, a champion, and an Ash Waste rig.
Yeah.
Basically a ridge hauler. And we'll talk about those in a little bit. I guess technically I keep calling it Secundus Incursion Allegiance. Actually, Archaeo Hunter is the actual name of it.
The Secundus Incursion are the people that are getting you there.
Yes.
And the ferrymen are the people getting you there.
Yes.
Whereas the Archaeo Hunters, the reason that the people from outside are coming in is to find Archaeo relics.
Yes. You're trying to find, like, Vansar particularly is trying to find data. It's these data crystals. They pop up in the third phase.
Yeah.
Like, trying to get these data crystals, they're worth... A gang that gets one of these data crystals and gets back to the Underhive is set for life. Like, you get to move out of the Underhive and into the Upper Hive. That's how much money these things are worth.
Although I think it says, like, you can sell them for credits.
And it's not actually
it's
worth
not
that.
very many.
No, but in the lore, it's like, if you get one of these and there's something good on it and you bring it back, you are rich. You are never going to have to work a day in your life again.
D3 times 10 credits. That. What if you get 30 credits, man? Whew.
Meanwhile, the other thing is that the Archaeo Hunters, the ferrymen, they abandon you before.
Yeah.
Well, they don't abandon you. It's just their deal is only to get you to phase 3, and then they leave, with the exception of one. There's one ferryman gang that can possibly stay. Meanwhile, Malstrain Allegiance just gets an additional 400 credits when you're being founded that can only be spent on vehicles and stuff. Blah, blah, blah. You don't get to keep them if you don't spend it. Blah, blah, blah.
So it's the same as the Ash Waste previous campaign, Yardland, and all that stuff.
Yes. Malstrain Allegiance gangs can also choose to apply a modifier to all rolls that generate roaming horrors, which I guess we'll talk about next.
Yeah, which we'll get to.
Yeah, so let's talk about roaming horrors. One of the big things about this campaign that it has, Ash Wastes had the particularly brutal weather. Vaults of Temenos had the artifacts and relics. And what you have here is madness, desolation, and darkness, which is a couple different things. So... madness. During each of the 3 phases, bad things happen when you break.
Yes.
Or take a nerve test. And this also changes depending on whether you're Archaeo Hunter or Malstrain. In the first phase, which is called Ghost of the Dead, if you're an Archaeo Hunter and you fail to rally after getting broken. So how do you get broken is if you fail a nerve test if someone dies near you, right?
Dies or seriously injured.
And seriously injured. If you fail that, you break, and then you fail to rally, you then pass a willpower check or go insane.
So there's several steps of failure there.
Yes. Meanwhile, during that same phase, Malstrains get to apply a -1 modifier to all their nerve tests.
So a -1 modifier to your test, not to your stat.
Yes.
So you roll 2d6, you roll a 7, it goes down to a 6.
Yes.
So that is bad.
Yes. They're bad because they're farther away.
Yeah, they're further away from the Underhells.
In phase 2, Archaeo Hunter affiliated fighters who fail to rally just go insane. No willpower
No
check.
test. Gets
And
worse.
Malstrain doesn't care.
Yep.
That's the middle.
They get no positive or negative in the middle.
And then phase 3, Shadow of the Brood Mind. Archaeo Hunter affiliated fighters who would gain the broken condition instead go insane.
Yep.
And Malstrain affiliated fighters apply a +1 modifier to all nerve tests.
Because they're closer to the hive mind.
Basically, the Malstrain Patriarch, who is the main gene stealer, or what's left of him, it's kind of ambiguous whether he's even alive or just a psychic presence, has this massive psychic bubble. Like the Zone and Stalker, of noospheric radiation. Sorry, no, it's the psychic bubble of
Copyright.
influence, right? And as you get closer, it gets worse and worse and worse. So if you're a normal person, you start hearing voices and going a little crazy. If you're Malstrain, you get stronger as you go in.
You start getting less crazy.
Yeah. The other thing that changes is trade, but this is the opposite.
Yes.
So... well, I guess not. No, because it gets worse for Archaeo Hunters as it goes in.
Yeah.
So it's not the opposite.
So basically, at the beginning of the campaign, the Archaeo Hunters have it easier because they're further towards the, civilization. And as they go closer to the Underhells, it gets worse, and vice versa for the, across the board.
Yep. So when you're in the main outside, which is still cut off from the world, by the way,
Yeah.
by the dust wall, you cannot, Archaeo Hunter affiliated gangs cannot access their gang equipment list.
And cannot add additional models.
So no equipment list and no models after gang creations, and all items in the trading post increase their rare or illegal by 2. Malstrain get the same problem, except they increase theirs by 6, with common items getting a rare 12 rating.
Yeah. So instead of, I rolled a double 2, like double 1s, I guess I'm just getting common. No common. You get nothing.
And that starts to level out because phase 2, Crane Cities, all gangs still cannot access their gang equipment list or add additional models, and all items in the trading post increase their rare and illegal ratings by 4, with commons being rare 10. That's for everyone.
Yeah.
And then cut off from the world, RKO hunters get increased by 6, gaining rare 12, and Malstrains increased by 2. So it kind of basically, they start on this one and they go. You'll notice that in all of these, no one can access their gang equipment list or get additional models.
Ever. For the whole campaign.
For the whole campaign.
I think you can at downtime.
Yes, downtime is the only time you can. It's the downtime after the phase 1. It's not downtime after phase 2.
Oh.
So downtime after phase 1, you get 250 credits to spend on new equipment from their gang equipment list to recruit new fighters, vehicles, and hanger-ons. These credits must be spent now and cannot be added to the gang stash, blah, blah, blah. So this is the time when even secunded incursion gangs, RKO hunters, can buy vehicles during that time. But after, because that's phase 2, the first downtime, which is in between phase 1 and 2. Duh. Yeah. Between phase 2 and 3, it's downtime 1 cycle. You can repair and upgrade, but you don't get to buy anything else.
That makes sense.
Yeah, because you're cut off from the world.
That's crazy.
So this is but that applies to both gangs, like both sides. So it's not like Malstrains get to.
So Malstrains,
they don't get to recover either.
They're in the same boat.
Yeah, Hive Secundus just sucks.
Yeah,
like this is worse. This is a worse place to live than the Ash Wastes.
Yeah. There is one more thing that is different for the different downtimes. Sorry, the different cycles is the darkness.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. This is outside, which means it does have visibility rules. So phase 1 is visibility 18. It's visibility X, which means you actually have to roll for it.
Yeah.
And maximum 18. Phase 2 is max 12. Phase 3 is max 9.
Farthest you can see in phase 3 is 9.
Now, they did a house rule that things like photo goggles or infrared sights add to this instead of setting it.
No, it's not a house rule.
They FAQ'd this.
Yes.
So nowadays, photo goggles add 12 to this, which is kind of weird. I hate that FAQ, honestly, but I get why they did it.
Yeah. No, it's not add 12. It adds 9.
Adds 9, sorry.
Adds 9.
It adds instead of replacing.
Yeah.
Is what I meant. Yeah, so that's kind of like really big.
Yeah, that's huge.
Let's talk about beasts. Angry little critters.
Oh, and it should be mentioned, if you go insane, there is a slight change to insanity. Normally, you roll a die, and on a 3 or a 4, your opponent gets to control.
Yeah.
The guy that's insane. But there is a new system for neutrals, and basically they act as a neutral. They treat nobody as friends, nobody as enemies.
Yeah. This is kind of the first time that GW's done this kind of thing, neutrals like this.
Yeah.
At least in Necromunda. So they're called roaming horrors.
Yeah.
And basically, I won't read out each one, but you roll a D66 table and spawn a number of roaming horrors if the scenario calls for it. They almost always do. Remember, a Malstrain player can choose to add +1 to this.
Yep.
Basically, it gets worse as you go down. Now, worth noting, these roaming horrors don't care what side you're on.
Nope.
They are not aligned to the Malstrain.
They are specifically in a killing frenzy.
Yes, they do not care at all. They will murderize all of you. And they have a bit of an AI, kind of.
Yes.
It's very, very basic, akin to something like Stargrave or whatever.
Yeah.
Basically, it's every time a player completes an activation with one of their fighters, a horror will then activate before their opponent activates a fighter. Horrors are controlled by the player who just completed their activation, but you still have to follow your nature. This is where things get a little weird, maybe a little gamey.
You can choose how they follow it, but they have to follow it.
Right. So they're either cautious or aggressive. Cautious is brood scum. And also, if you go insane, you turn into a cautious horror, basically, for a turn. The horror will move to within weapon range and attack if possible. Sticking to cover, they will not expose themselves unless they can take a shot. If they're not in cover, if they're already in cover with a potential target, they will aim and shoot. And if they're engaged, they will fight. Now, you'll notice it doesn't say target priority.
Nope.
Or any of that.
They will take a shot if they can.
Yes. I would advise following the normal rules for target priority, though.
Yes.
Which means your brood scum, who have a willpower of 8, or cool of 8, sorry, because they're hive scum, have to target the closest enemy model or pass a willpower check. And if they fail that willpower check, they have to target the closest enemy model.
That makes sense.
So I don't think you should... Now, that's not technically written, though.
No.
Rules as written, because... Well, I know because a shooting attack has to target the closest enemy model, doesn't it?
Generally, yeah.
Yeah, so that is a part of the shooting rules. Same... aggressive is move so as to get within charge range or charge when possible. If engaged, they will fight.
It's basically the same except punchy.
Yeah, but worth noting, there is no rule for charging about having to charge the closest enemy model.
That's true.
So you could use that to charge around your opponent. So there's a secondary game in here about using the horrors. And it's very much left to, like, you're supposed to use these. They're not a full AI. Like, the players do get to use these to mess with each other's, right? The nice thing, though, is if you kill these, if an injury dice would ever be rolled, you just kill it.
So they're easy to kill.
Yes, they're easy to kill. They don't have still have wounds, but they don't have flesh wounds. You don't have to track all that, thank God. They never level up or anything like that. They also never need to make ammo rolls, though.
Yeah. They count as either champions or gangers for experience and kill points for objectives, which is great. Rather than just like, I killed that guy that's been hunting me for 3 turns.
Yes.
I get nothing.
Yes. So you do get points for them.
Yep.
It's worth noting that when placing Malstrain Brood Scum, the player with priority decides what weapons and war gear they are equipped with.
Oh, I missed that. That's terrifying.
Well, okay, I'm assuming you can only equip them off of their own list.
Off of their own list, yeah.
Right.
That makes sense.
This does mean...
My mouse train leader has a plasma gun.
Plasma cannon? What are you talking about?
What's the most expensive thing I can give him?
Multi-melta.
Multi-melta? Yeah. They all have multi-meltas.
That would be a really fun challenge. You show up and all the Brood Scum have multi-meltas.
Oh, that'd be great.
Rip. Wait, you mean the Malstrain Genestealer also has multi-meltas? He's got multi-melta fists. Punches you and you explode. So this does mean that this campaign technically does have the requirement of buying or finding these models.
Yep.
Which is also kind of a first.
Yeah, it is.
Because the vehicles were technically optional in the Ash Wastes.
Technically optional.
So, that's kind of a downside, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, they're amazing models, so...
Yeah, they're great.
Everyone should have them anyway, but... If you were worried about that. Now, of course, you could use other things as them. If you already have other gang members, use them as Hive Scum.
Yeah. Hell, if you have Gene Stealers, like you don't need the mouse train ones.
Right, yeah. You absolutely don't need those. The main thrust of this is when you get to the final level 3. When you get down to the dungeons, you're looking for data crystal stacks, which are a terrain piece, but there's also other ways to represent them. First off, don't set these on fire. They explode.
Yep. If they're hit with a blaze weapon, you have to roll on a chart and they could blow up.
Yes. D3 plus 3 inches with a strength 5 D1 AP1 attack.
Yep. Auto prone and pinned, can't be harvested from anymore.
Here's the problem for some gangs. If you want to get one of these crystals, you have to pass an intelligence check.
So if you're, I don't know,
Goliath,
or what did we just cover? Ogres?
Yeah. Slave ogre.
Probably don't be an Archaeo hunter.
Or do and just have a lot of fun. If you kill all your opponents, there's nobody else to get them. You can only...
I would love if like someone's whole goal was to go down there and burn them. Just hit them with flamethrowers.
I'm playing Goliath Luddites.
Yes.
my goal is to destroy this technology. The data crystals become fun objectives. You carry them. If you die, you drop one, and someone else can pick it up. You can sell them, but you can also like use them to get a random skill or a choice skill. It's kind of funny because there's no like campaign reason for keeping them.
Yeah.
I would kind of add that.
There,
I think personally, the winner of the campaign is the person who has the most data crystals.
That makes sense.
Because that's kind of what. I guess that wouldn't make sense for your mouse string. Because how do they win?
They don't.
Fair. So that's a little weird because like they're in lore, there's this huge thing, but now like you could just use these to put one in your skull and gain a random skill.
Yeah.
And get the headbutt skill on your Vansar.
Yeah. So the section under winning does have.
Most
player with the most player with the most exploration points.
Yes.
There is not one for the player with the most crystals.
Jerry, what are you doing eating this crystal? What have you learned? Headbutt. Jerry, you're a Vansar. I headbutt. It's kind of funny. We won't go over all the scenarios. They are pretty funny. Some of them are rolling roads.
Yes.
So be aware of that.
I did notice, so there's, for each cycle, there is a different chart that you roll on to determine the scenario you're doing. Each one only has 3 scenarios, but one of them is unique to that cycle, and the other 2 are shared between the other 2 cycles. So it's actually really cool the way that they split it up.
Yes.
Rather than being like the whole time it's all the same, or the whole time you change every time.
Ashways.
Yeah. Ashways.
I got so sick of doing Fuel Hunt. No, it was Settlement Showdown.
Yeah, Settlement Showdown.
Oh, God, so much Settlement Showdown. The one thing I will say that's a little odd is that even when you're in the Abyss, like, it doesn't switch to what I feel it should do, which is Zone Mortalis.
Yeah.
The third one does not have any room for mounted.
Yes. There are 3 scenarios, and none of them say mounted can be used.
Which, if you're playing Malstrain, keep that in mind when spending credits to upgrade your vehicles.
Which also makes sense because the ferrymen leave.
The ferrymen peace out.
So, like, all of the vehicle that they had is gone, too.
Yes, they didn't get paid. Or they did get paid.
They didn't get paid enough.
Let's talk about the ferrymen.
Yeah. Good transition, Mitchell.
So, when you are picking a Archaeo Hunter gang, you get to pick an Abyssal Ferryman team. They don't cost you any credits.
Right.
Because you don't get credits to spend on them.
This is in lieu of the 400 that the other gangs get.
Instead, you get to pick a skipper, a rig hand, and a steersman. The skipper comes with 150 credits of stuff below rarity. 140 credits below 10 or lower rarity. Before the malice from being here. The rig hand gets 100 credits worth of ratings 8 or less. And the steersman, which comes on a custom rig, which we'll talk about, gets 150 credits worth of upgrades, weapons, and vehicle war gear drawn from the custom rig equipment list and the trading post, rare or legal, 8 or less. Skipper and rig get combat ferocity, bronze, shooting, cunning, savant, or agility, so you get to kind of customize these guys however you want.
Yeah.
And the ferryman steersman gets to start with 1 skill from driving or shooting.
Ooh.
Which is something that no other driver in the game gets to do.
All right.
That's pretty powerful.
That sounded pretty good.
Yeah. It's also worth noting that the ferryman, both the skipper and rig hand, you get to choose from 3 profiles each of them. And some of these are pretty good. There's a skipper with strength 4. There's a skipper with toughness 4. He has 2 wounds, ranging from amazing to terrible mental stats. Basically, you can pick normal human or a squat.
Yeah.
Rig hand, you can get a guy who is strength 5, toughness 4, 3 wounds, leadership 10, intelligence 9. So there's your Ogren.
Yeah. Rig hand indeed.
Yeah. Or a guy with 3-inch movement, which is your squat.
Yeah.
Strength 4, toughness 4. So yeah, all the rig hands have toughness 4, by the way.
Yeah.
Even the base human.
That's pretty good.
They don't have amazing offensive stats. Your driver, your steersman has ballistic skill 4, leadership 7, cool 6, willpower 8, intelligence 8, willpower 7.
Yeah.
So they're not amazing skills, but you get them for free.
Yeah, better than a what are they called?
Yeah.
Scum Racer.
And you never have to roll randomly for them to show up. They always just show up.
Yeah.
Which is also not true of the Malstrain.
Oh, true.
If you can spend credits on vehicles, but it follows the normal rules of whether or not they show up. They also never go out of action. They're always just out cold.
Nice.
Your vehicle, the steersman vehicle, is never wrecked. It just says they're experts at jury rigging their vehicle and keeping it running. Like everyone else in the Ash Waste isn't.
No, they're better.
And they always show up, so they have the here to health rule, which is kind of like alliances. They always show up. This is the best implementation of the alliance system we've seen so far.
Yeah.
Like those shore parties kind of thing.
They should just take this out, replace Ferryman with Alliance shore party.
Yeah.
I'd allow that.
And speaking of your ferrymen, you get to pick a faction for them. They're called the Ferryman Enclaves. Don't pay the ferryman. All right, that's my one time.
So the first one is the Explorer faction, which is New Horizons at the end of each cycle. This Abyssal Ferryman team is at the end of each cycle, this Abyssal Ferryman team is in the employ of the gang. Add D3 exploration points to the gang's total.
All of these say in employ of the gang because they all leave for phase 3.
Yeah.
That's so phase 3 you don't get this.
Yeah.
So D3 exploration points. So
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Especially with what you can spend them on. Then there is the Hunter, which is cunning killers. All members of the team and any friendly fighters within 6 inches can reroll failed wound rolls against roaming horrors. That one's...
Rerolling wounds in Necromunda is, I think there's one other source, and it's playing Corn.
Cawdor can do it on their gang relic.
So 2 other sources. It's rare as heck.
It's really rare.
But this is only for the horrors, which are kind of a issue, but...
Yeah, it's fine. Then we have the Tinker, which is the war chest. At the end of each cycle, this Abyssal Ferryman team add D6 times 5 credits worth of weapons or war gear to the gang stash from their house equipment list, which is important because other than the first downtime, you can't get that.
Yes, exactly.
And lastly, there's Survivor, which is you can, once during each cycle, the gang can perform 1 medical escort post-battle action costing 0 credits. The medical escort post-battle action may also be used to save a fighter suffering from memorable death.
Remember, you can't get more fighters.
Yeah. Again, big deal.
So that one is my favorite, personally.
Yeah. The fact that you can't bring more fighters in and it could save you from honestly, even if they didn't put that in, probably be really strong. But
yeah.
Save you from a 66. It's the only thing in the game that I know of that does that.
Yeah, short of yeah, I don't think even
short of rerolling.
Short of resurrection packages.
Yeah.
Resurrection packages is about the only thing I can think of.
That's fair.
There are 2 sets of named ferrymen, 2 Dramatis Personae. We'll probably see models for them later. There's Hagthor Jarlin and Esther Felstern. And then there's...
I love that both of their titles are Hive Scum.
Madrick, Hellbane, and Lugrin. So both of these they're basically, they're ferrymen. They come with a skipper and a rig hand, and then you still get the rig. But they get an additional special rule. Mm-hmm. So they have rules for hiring them like other hired guns, but you can also just take them as a ferryman team from a certain enclave. So Hunter for the first one, and the second one is Survivor. And they don't cost anything.
Yeah.
You can just take these named Dramatis Personae instead of a custom crew. Now, whether or not they're worth it, they do get additional upgrades. So the first one's Mr. Squat and Mrs. Person.
The one on the cover.
Yeah.
She's the one on the cover.
Yeah. During the post-battle sequence, you can add in a vehicle upgrade or item of vehicle war gear to a custom rig with a credit value of up to 30 credits for free.
Pretty good.
That's pretty good. The second one, which is...
That's actually better than I thought because, again, you can't buy stuff normally.
Yeah. The second one, which is a dude and his Ogren friend. First off, you get an Ogren friend who has toughness 5, by the way.
Honestly, that Ogren looks awesome.
First off, I want that model. He's got a bill hook.
Yeah.
That's an amazing...
It's an Ogren with a bill hook, a skull mask, and...
His weapon, his melee weapon, which first off, he's only weapon skill 4, but he's strength 5, toughness 5. His weapon is called Hook, Line, and Sinker. Let's go fishing. There is their special ability. They don't give you anything. It's just that they don't necessarily leave during phase 3.
Right.
After each battle during that phase 3, on a result of 1 or 3, they leave. On a 4 to 6, they stay.
So you're guaranteed to get him for 1 extra fight.
Yes, and then they might just keep showing up. And remember, these guys show up for free, even when they're at that phase. So there's a chance that you just get extra fighters.
Sure.
I find it hard not to take that one.
Yeah.
Because they're survivors as well, which means you still get the rule.
You still get the medic one, yeah.
Right. I mean, you'd have to kit bash, of course, but sure, that's not hard. Just give an Ogren a fishing pole. It's kind of funny, actually.
From the Hunter Enclave, which is the rerolling against...
Yeah, neither of those are bad.
No.
The dwarf one, his stats are kind of middling, honestly. He's not particularly great. Like, he's got a shotgun with some... It's basically got pulverize. She's got a stub gun and an axe, which is not particularly great. But either way, these are pretty fun and flavorful.
Yeah, they're cool. I'd definitely like to see these models.
Last but not least, the custom rig, which is weird because it says it costs 205 credits, but it doesn't actually cost you anything.
Right.
So, and there's also no rules for using this anywhere else.
Right.
I would not recommend allowing this to be used outside of the Secundian gangs.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because it's a ridge hauler for 205 credits. which is 25 less than a normal Ridge Hauler. And if you don't remember our problems with the normal Ridge Hauler, go check out the video where we complain about the Ridge Hauler for 30 minutes.
That might be for gang rating reasons.
It is.
Yeah.
Right. It's basically a Ridge Hauler that can't get the cargo loads.
The only problem with that is that these guys don't have, so they don't count for gang rating reasons. But the Ridge Hauler does.
Yeah. I mean, it is a custom rig, basically. I think this probably is supposed to be able to be used in, because it doesn't say Secundus only.
That's true.
And it's priced like they would price it, which is this.
Here's the problem. So that every crew says what vehicles it can use.
This is true.
And nothing can use this except for these guys.
Ferrymen. And, okay, that's a good point. Only ferrymen can take this, and you can only get ferrymen in Secundus.
Yeah.
You're right.
Unless they release something later.
Thank goodness. Basically, this is just it's an ash waste rig. So it's a Ridge Hauler that has slightly different weapon options. You can put a heavy stub or a mining laser on it. Grenade launcher, long las, the usual vehicle weapons. It's tough, obviously. You get one basically for free, which I guess this is one way of handling that problem.
Yeah.
When every Secundus incursion gang just gets a Ridge Hauler for free.
True.
In that case, Malstrain players, do not feel bad about bringing your own Ridge Hauler. You're gonna need it.
Yeah. When everyone has a Ridge Hauler, no one does.
No, everyone just has a Ridge Hauler. Everyone just has a Ridge Hauler syndrome.
You know, when we talked about, this is the one negative about this book, is that you should take a Ridge Hauler. End of my sentence. So you have to have a Ridge Hauler. You have to be part of the problem.
Or customize something that looks like a Ridge.
No. I'm not saying like buy the physical model. I'm saying you have the equivalent of a Ridge Hauler, and if you don't, you should.
You know, Mitchell, you kind of look like a reverse syndrome because all your hair is down here instead of up there.
I'm just saying this is the only part of the book I don't like.
That's okay. There's also some other rules for some other additional fun things. Basically, by which you mean the Vansar Tech Hunter and also the Pattern Sentry Guns.
Yep.
So the Tech Hunter, let's talk about that. Now, there's other things too. There's the Spires, which we will do in their entire own video because the Spires are so much, y'all.
You thought this video was long.
This is the Spires are the most complicated gang I have ever seen.
Yeah.
As far as options, as far as what you actually want to pick, maybe not.
Well,
We'll get there, though.
we'll get there. The real issue with them is they behave in no way like a regular gang.
Correct. So let's talk last but not least about the Tech Specialist and the Trezor Pattern Sentry Gun. So, the Vansar Tech Hunter Specialist. Available to House Vansar gangs only. There is nothing in here about this only being in Secundus.
Right.
It has the Gang Fighter Specialist keyword, and then the text is the same as like the Gang Fighter rules.
Yeah.
So they have the Gang Fighter rule. There's 75 credits for what is basically a Vansar ganger.
Yep.
4 up weapon skill, 3 up ballistic skill. I guess that's slightly better weapon skill than a
Yeah,
ganger.
because I think they normally have a 5.
5 up initiative, 1
They're also
wound.
movement 5 instead of 4.
Ooh, 1 attack, 6 leadership, 7 cool, 7 willpower.
I like the emphasis you put on 1 attack.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Basically, the big thing about these is that they're specialists, and you also get to pick, depending on whether you pick the Augur Tech, the Biotechnist, the Gun Tech, or the Technomat, which sounds like a laundromat that plays techno music. AKA the Whirling in Rags from Disco Elysium.
Hang on,
That's a joke.
I'm writing. That was pretty good. I was gonna say I'm writing that down. $1 million idea.
Technomat sounds like a Soviet laundromat that plays techno, like bad German techno.
Mm-hmm.
It just blares Rammstein. I'm not saying Rammstein's bad. It blares it. You know, they can get Savant shooting, and they have Tech Secondary, which means you'll never take it.
Yep.
They do have the access to the combi weapon, the Flamer Mancatcher, the Long Las, the Rad Gun. You can put a power knife on these guys because you really want to. The main thing about them is that each one of these can take one special weapon or one special piece of equipment that you might want to use. Right. I guess we'll talk about those next in a second. But the weird thing about these guys is, what are the rules for putting them in a normal Vansar gang? Because
it doesn't say.
Right. Because normally the rules for specialists is that at gang creation, one ganger can be promoted to a specialist.
Yeah. It doesn't say that okay. I'm assuming it just means that you can't put them in at creation, but you can hire them later.
Right.
But there is no rule saying that.
Right. The only way to get specialists is to have gangers level up into it.
Yes.
So are they saying that they're not saying that gangers level up into this because that's not how?
Yeah, that's not how
works.
leveling up works.
Are they saying that you can hire one of these at gang creation? Are they saying you can hire an entire gang of these guys because they do have the gang fighter rule?
They do.
I believe rules as written that is what you could do.
Yeah.
They are more expensive. They're 75 credits,
They are.
which is not nothing.
Yeah, I think they're 50 normally for
Yes.
Advanced
For 75 credits, what do you get? An extra movement.
An extra weapon skill
For
for my fighting knife or power knife.
the access to additional equipment that you have to pay for.
Yeah.
And perhaps most importantly, the ability to level up as a specialist instead of a ganger.
Yeah. You're not rolling randomly. You're not getting +1 strength.
Putting these guys up there with corpse grinder cults as far as customizability. So before we talk about, let's talk about their special equipment. Augur specs, how much does it cost?
20 credits.
So this is can only be taken by the Augurist, right? Or whatever he's called?
Yeah, the Augur tech.
Enemy fighters may not be set up within 12 inches of a fighter as either reinforcements or using the infiltrate skill. That's not bad for Van Sar, who is really don't touch me.
Yeah.
I'm scared.
That's true. Also, that is not the only equipment that the Augur tech can take specially.
No. What else can you take?
The Vox Array.
The Vox Array. A fighter equipped with the Vox Array gains the Group Activation 1 special rule. How much does that one cost?
30.
No.
For 30 credits?
No.
There are some people that really, really, really value those group activations. We are not one of them.
I mean, I can see why, especially in Van Sar, because group activating a squad of shooters to like kill priority targets can be very powerful. You just have to be careful with group activation, especially with low model count gangs, like the Van Sar.
Yeah. Next is the Biotechnist with the Medicae kit.
Okay.
Which is normal, correct?
Yes, the Medicae kit already exists. It's the when a fighter assists a friendly fighter's recovery test, roll an extra injury dice, then choose one to discard.
They also get a Server Medicae.
Servo Medicae. A sophisticated system that interfaces with blah, 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 blah. A fighter equipped with a Servo Medicae may perform the Medicae basic action. So this is a basic, which means you cannot repeat it, but it is only takes one. Choose a seriously injured friendly fighter within 1 inch of this fighter. That fighter may make a recover roll as if it were the end phase, and it does not stop them from making a recovery test in the end phase.
That one's pretty good. That one is only 15 credits.
So keep in mind, well, how much is the Medicae kit? 30 credits?
Yeah.
So you're probably not going to buy that one. Keep in mind that stacks with assistance.
It does.
So you get to make, and since you're within an inch, you are automatically providing assistance.
Yeah.
Meaning that guy is going to make 2 ones. Because I was going to say, there's a chance you could just die.
Yeah.
Which would be really funny.
That would be.
I gotcha.
I've played Infinity, and Infinity's recovery rolls are like that. You make a test, and if you fail, they lose an extra wound.
Ooh.
That sucks.
Did you need that leg? Yeah, so there's some interesting stuff there. Again, not bad, but not, I don't...
The gun tech gets a refractor cloak.
Yeah, so the gun tech, how much does the refractor cloak cost?
35.
35? The refractor cloak... refraction cloak. When making a ranged attack against a fighter equipped with a refraction cloak, the hit roll suffers a -1 penalty to hit. This is increased to -2 if the fighter did not move in their previous activation.
Okay, so it's like a Cameline a little bit.
But the cam line only works if you didn't move.
Right.
How much does this one cost?
35.
That's really good for 35.
Yeah.
Permanent -1 to be hit for permanent 35.
That is only on the gun tech, which can also take a long las.
Yes. For 20 credits, which is the only time a Van Sar can take a long last, which is hilarious.
No, you can take a long las normally. You just don't.
Yeah, okay, fair. I forgot about that. And then finally, the Soviet Technomat, who can take Carapace Armor Light on his house list. Anyone can take that.
Yep.
He can also take the Combi Weapon Flamer Mancatcher. And does he get any special equipment?
No. So he has the Rad Gun, the Combi Weapon Flamer Mancatcher, and the Carapace Light Armor.
So Rad guns we've talked about before. Rad is fun and flavorful and can be good if you spec into it hard.
Yeah.
And are not fighting enemy Van Sar.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, everyone's going to want to be doing right now because they got that really cool kit.
Yeah, cool.
The Combi Weapon Flamer Mancatcher has a flamer
Is it a explodey flamer? Does it kill you when you use it? Because the other Combi Weapon Flamers do.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
It does?
So the Combi... I'm sorry. I'm just seeing this for the first time. This thing is 160 credits.
Uh-huh.
The flamer is a template weapon with blaze, template, and unstable.
Yep, there it is.
5-up ammo check, and -1 to hit at short range.
What? No.
It
No,
says
hang
that.
on. What page is that?
It's page 128. Now, that's obviously a typo. But yeah, your flamer is -1 to hit at long range. The reason they have that there is because this is also a melee weapon, which is engagement.
Oh, Josh, you're dumb. That's not -1 to hit at long range. That's -1 strength. Wait, that doesn't make any sense.
Wait, what? No, that isn't.
It's -1 strength. It doesn't have a base strength.
The combi weapon flamer Mancatcher is currently unplayable because it does not have a base strength on the flamer component.
Oh, it has strength -1.
So wait, does that create a stack overflow error and it's just strength 999?
Yes.
So wounds everybody on a 2.
Also, the AP is completely blank. I wonder why.
So this is clearly supposed to have AP -1.
Yes.
So this is supposed to be a flamer with AP 1, 5-up ammo, blaze, template, unstable.
The problem is, we don't know the strength bonus of the Mancatcher.
Right. The Mancatcher is clearly a melee weapon with an AP of -1, entangle in melee. But what is the strength?
Yeah, it literally doesn't say the strength. So it is actually unplayable.
So the strength, I guess technically you would say that it is strength. User strength? Do we have a copy of the other book here? Because that might have that stat in there.
Oh, yes, we actually do.
So, I don't know how much of our breakdown is going to make it into the final edit. I'm going to leave that up to our dear editor, Cody, to whom I sincerely apologize, by the way.
Make it funny, Cody.
Thanks. Now you're going to make it bad. Funny at your expense is still funny.
Yeah, that's fine.
So we looked it up. The stats for the Mancatcher are in the actual Hive Secundus book that came with the box set.
Yeah.
It's the flamer is strength 4, AP 1, 1 damage, 5-up ammo check, blaze, template, and unstable. And then the Mancatcher part is user strength, AP 1 damage, entangle. Does not have a bonus to hit, does not have versatile. Why you would ever take this? Yeah, he's got 4-up weapon skill instead of 3. Oh, or instead of 5.
Yeah. Yeah, it's awful.
For 160 credits. Am I missing something?
So it's a flamer, but worse. And
Oh,
fighting knife, but worse.
no, that's why it's 160 credits, because the flamer's 140.
Yeah. But it should be, it's a flamer that makes you explode. It should not be more expensive than a regular flamer.
Which is a shame, because it's a really cool looking weapon.
Yeah, it is.
So, basically, the only reason you would bring one of these guys, the Augur Tech is good if you are playing in your campaign, you're playing against a, someone who uses Infiltrate. If you're playing against Corpse Grinder cults,
Yeah.
that might be an auto take.
That's really good, yeah.
Because, like, oh yeah, you have Infiltrate? 12 inches, son. And 12 inches is a lot worse in Necromunda, because you cannot charge 12 inches.
Right.
Well, okay, Corpse Grinder cults can, but you usually have to kill someone first. Or your leader.
Yeah.
And only their juvies have Infiltrate.
Mm-hmm.
The Medicae guy is the biotechnist. I could see a use for him.
Yeah, it's a good support piece. I probably, I mean, I was going to say I wouldn't take it in your opening gang, but you can't from as far as we can tell.
Yeah.
He, not a terrible piece late to keep your guys alive, especially, again, you said it's important to keep your guys alive when you can't hire anymore.
Right. Yeah, I could definitely see this guy taking this guy in an incursion zone.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can. Maybe you can take these guys at. Yeah, you have to be able to take these guys at creation.
Why?
Because there's nothing that says you can't.
So?
And otherwise, you won't be able to get one in.
Why? I mean, you can at downtime.
That's very narrow.
You can at downtime.
There's nothing that says you cannot hire these guys at creation because the gang fighter just says you can only upgrade one guy to a specialist.
So does that mean that you could upgrade a ganger to a specialist and then buy the rest of your gangers as specialists?
Yes, I believe you can.
That's dumb.
It is, but there's dumb no matter what.
That's true.
Not as dumb as bring a Technomat for whom I can see absolutely no reason. Unless you wanted to go in. No, even if you wanted to go into Rad, normal Vansar can take Rad guns anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a Vansar with 5-up movement.
And like Carapace? I mean, if you want your
75, yeah,
you want your 75 credit guy to be triple his cost there.
The gun tech is the one I could see potentially spamming and being a problem.
Yes.
Because -1 to be hit all the time. Mm-hmm. But it's only ranged weapons, right?
You read it.
Oh, I forgot.
Joe, I forgot.
Shut up. Stop bullying me.
No, it's fun.
Yeah, it's ranged attacks.
Okay.
So being -1 to hit against ranged attacks all the time, especially for Vansar.
Yeah.
And -2 if they don't move, especially for Van Sar.
And it should be mentioned that he is not limited to this list. He can buy stuff from the trading post.
I mean, good luck with that in this campaign. But normally, like, this guy's available to everyone else.
Yeah.
I would say, as an arbitrator, that I would say your gang gets one of each.
That's fair.
That also just feels very flavorful.
Yeah.
With the exception, maybe, of the Hive Secundus gangs.
Would you look at this? I found 14 specialists over here. That's crazy.
Yeah, I would say that you get one of each in a normal gang. For Secunda Incursion, maybe you could say they could all be that way.
Sure.
It's just so weird.
It's really strange that they gave us a box full of specialists.
Yes, which is another reason why I think you're just allowed to bring as many as you want.
Probably.
Like, I think that's going to be the new thing, because they still count as gang fighters.
Yeah.
The only last thing we're going to talk about is sentry guns.
Yeah.
Tracer pattern sentry gun. They're 20 credits, which is ridiculously cheap. They're illegal 10, but common in this campaign. Hello.
I mean, common until it's a 10 or a 12.
Yeah, fair. Because if they made a 10, they just realize you're never getting one.
Yeah.
So they are ballistic skill 5, which is not great.
Yeah.
But they are toughness 4, 2 wounds, initiative 6. So hit him with a flashbang, I guess. Leadership 12, cool 4, intelligence 12.
I like leadership and intelligence. Intelligence 12, but willpower 6.
The main thing about these is that you put these down at the start of the game, after everyone's deployed, within an inch of a friendly fighter, along with a control panel. And once placed, you cannot move it, but you can use a basic action to retarget, which is you can rotate it, because it has a like all models in Necromunda, it has a field of vision.
Yeah,
and you can rotate that field of vision. Basically, what it does is it never gets ready markers, and it never gets to actually perform an action. It's just every time anybody, friend or foe, ends their activation within a sentry gun's vision arc and their weapons range, which is either going to be 24-inch for a twin grenade launcher and with frag grenades, or a huge amount for twin heavy stubbers. That's what, 48 inches?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, 40. It's 40 and 20 for
40 inches for heavy stubbers. It takes a shoot basic action, targeting that person.
Yes.
They can do this multiple times per round.
Yes.
If you're a friendly who's within an inch of it, you can stop it from shooting friendlies.
AKA the gang that set it up.
Yes.
Or if you...
You cannot, this is not Call of Duty, you cannot run up and knife it and knock it over.
Yeah.
Nor can you shut it down or control it if you are not a friendly fighter, because you don't have the access codes. Hitting on 5s is bad, but free actions, and it's just basically making certain areas a chance of knocking someone over or killing them.
Yeah.
It's also worth noting that frag grenades have blast.
Yeah.
But then you're only talking 24 inches.
That's true.
Which is not nearly as much of a lockdown, but still pretty bad.
I mean, it depends on what you're playing, because you set this up on indoor Zone Mortalis, and that's a whole hallway.
It's just a grenade launching down a hallway until it explodes. They can also overheat. Basically, every time it fires, you increase by D3, or an additional D3 if you roll ammo dice, because they don't run out of ammo. And if it ever hits 6 or higher, it has to cool down. It doesn't break; it just has to cool down.
Yeah. Shuts down and cannot fire until its heat drops to 0.
It treats all seriously injured results as flesh wounds, so you have to either flesh wound it to death or outright kill it, and then it always goes out cold. Unfortunately, it's only 20 credits, but it also has mesh armor. You do have to purchase the weapons. Either 65 credits for the grenade launcher or 130 for the stubber. So I think you're always going to go grenade launcher.
Yeah.
Between the cheaper cost...
Grenade launcher should be more expensive.
And
let's be honest with each other. At least it doesn't have crack grenades. That would be ridiculous. Every time it shoots.
Flavorful and fun. I think for 85 credits, you could justify getting one of these.
Yeah, I would do it.
Although it's going to be hard to when it's,
It's common in the Underhells.
Yeah, so...
If you're... Okay, it depends on which side you are, but yeah, it's possible.
But if you buy them in the early part...
Yeah. It depends on which side you are.
Or for Malstrain, late part.
In the late game.
I think they're pretty worth it. Instead of buying new crew members when you can't.
Yeah.
I could very much see getting a few of these, because this would let you lock down areas. And especially against Malstrain horrors.
Oh, yeah.
It's also only a basic to rotate, so you could rotate this thing and then pull out a gun and cap somebody.
True. Van Sar.
Let me just pull this out and then, okay.
I don't need to look over there anymore.
Or you have your guy facing one way and this thing facing another way, and it's just...
it covers the whole... Yeah, because you don't have to be facing the gun.
That's it for the Book of Desolation. There are some other things in here, of course. We will cover those in our own separate videos. We will do a full rundown on Spire gangs. and the Malstrain gangs, which are less complicated, but still have a lot to them. Overall, I mean, we kind of spoiled this already.
We did.
This is one of my favorite books they've released.
Yeah, it is hyper detailed. It does have some very specific things for specific gangs. Vansar.
Yeah, I suspect we will see more of this.
Yeah, it's not like GW wants to sell us books or anything. But yeah, this is my favorite campaign book.
Yeah, no, I look forward to playing this campaign very much.
Me too.
Even if I don't play Vansar, probably will.
Yeah, because you didn't get to play him for the
Because
last one.
I had already built a Vansar team to play, and
You
now
did.
there's other things.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some really fun stuff in here. I like the stuff in here, and I will say that there's not a lot that's usable outside of this.
Yeah.
The Spire gangs, the Malstrain infected gangs, and the Vansar stuff is kind of enough.
Yeah.
If you're not planning on playing Underhells, you probably don't need this book.
That's true.
Unless you are playing Spire gang.
If you're the arbitrator for life, what do they call them? Forever DM.
Yeah.
If you're the forever arbitrator, you should probably pick it up because it has some cool stuff in it.
Yes.
But if you're just a player that's not playing Underhells, you probably don't need it. But it is very cool.
Ah.
And I know I need it.
Yes, I like this book a lot.
This isn't even mine. This is Sean's.
Get your own. So, next time you see us, we are going to continue with our Book of Desolation interruption into our normal content, and we'll be talking about the most complicated gang I have ever seen, and I'm including Venators, which is the Spire Hunters gang.
Yeah.
Boy, is it a lot. Not as overpowered as you might think.
Yeah.
But
It has balancing mechanics in it.
It does, and they're on a razor's edge.
Yeah.
Because they're hard to kill, but not nearly as hard to kill as you might think.
Yeah.
We'll talk more about that later.
Stay tuned for it.
Until next time.
Bye.